Guys, I apologize in advance. The audio on this one is bad. I did not do a test recording. I messed up. I take responsibility for that, okay? But the content of this interview is great. Spacey, amazing. Clear Vision Collective, amazing. If you're a journalist, you should really hit them up on Instagram. Definitely. And we're gonna reconvene. We're gonna do a part two with better audio. Okay. I've learned. I sinned. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyways, this is a wonderful episode of the Rock Show with Connor Farrell, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rock Show with Connor Farrell. Today, our guest is SpaceyY. He is the man in charge of Clear Vision Collective, or at least the organizer. We're gonna find out some more today. Thanks for joining us. And cue intro. Peace, love, and rock and roll, brother. Peace, love, and rock and roll. Okay, now that that started, guys, we have SpaceyY here with us today. Spacey, I'm gonna start off with a quick question. What is like one of the first like bands you got into? You remember being like, I was that art.
Oh, sorry about that. The end of the question got a little glitchy.
Oh, it got cut off. What's the like one band you particularly remember getting into starting out?
Starting out when I was like super young,
Yeah.
Cage the Elephant was one of the first bands that I saw live when I was like 10 or 11. And I just remember like being like, oh, yeah, I want to do that when I grow
That was a good answer.
up.
I think we got a little bit of a lag, but when I grew up, actually, let me ask you a second question. What's one good song for people at home who are uninitiated? What would you recommend? Any song for Kate the Elephant?
um, Sell Yourself.
Right answer.
That whole album's really good. Their second album, Thank You,
That's
Happy Birthday.
the best album. Is it?
It's a good one. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Oh, trip. Okay, well, I had a feeling I'd like you, but now I know it. So, for the people at home, how would you explain Clear Vision Collective?
So Clear Vision Collective started out as like a really a platform for any style of creative to come together and collaborate rather than compete. So over the years, it's really evolved into more so like a community where we work as journalists and event organizers, and then we're also musicians ourselves too. And most of the people that are involved with Clear Vision Collective or have helped throughout the years are also creatives in some aspect, whether they make um, journalistic like videos or articles, or they make their own music and want to like set up DIY shows. We're like a platform to help curate those kind of dreams, really.
Sweet. Well, I like the sound of that. Um, and because I've got a kind of a similar drive to this show here. That's kind of my idea. I want to like bring people in together because I realize if I sit here on my own trying to like reverse engineer like how to audio engineer and how to do graphic design, like I can get a little far, but I'm like I'm already good at guitar. I'm good at like being a front man and talking to people and bringing people together. Like, wait a minute, I can collaborate with people, and then other people want to collaborate with other people, and I can like bring everyone together and really like connect everyone, whether you're like starting out or whether you're small or whatever. Get everyone connected.
Totally.
So kind of, as we can relate on that, why, in your opinion, is collaboration so vital?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing where you're saying about like you can do so much as yourself and as an individual. Even like that whole spirit of like DIY of like doing it yourself really takes like a whole community of people doing it themselves to like pull off something together. So I always like really um gravitated towards the idea of collaboration because of that. Like kind of like that free form mentality too when you like meet a bunch of musicians and you start like jamming or like freestyling together. It's similar when you like work on a project with another creative person and like brainstorm and bounce ideas off of each other and bring your own skill sets to the table.
Yeah, I love that. I guess it's funny as we say DIY, we usually don't say like, oh,
you're still like
Yeah.
DIY. When you it's kind of funny when you say DIY, you realize actually do it together. Probably
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's, definitely been, like, an ethos since, like, rock and roll music's been a thing, really,
Exactly.
and, like, that's
Yeah,
just
and I
something
felt
missing.
like oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad. I mean, like, I think the DIY ethic is just, like, bigger social umbrella, really, because it can manifest in, like, music as, like, DIY communities and scenes, and then there's all these, like, DIY crafts and, like, workshops that people will do, but then, like, on, like, social levels, it's, like, really interesting to see people helping each other out with things like mutual aid or, uh, just different websites like Couchsurfing or Woofing allow people to travel and have a place to stay and eat while they're on the road,
I
while
didn't know about
contributing to, like, a local farm or, there's another one called World Packers where you can, like, stay at hostels around the world and, like, volunteer at a hostel, and then they give you a place to stay.
that. Oh,
So, I was, like, definitely passionate about helping connect, like, artists, like, musicians and other creative people with those types of DIY, like, communities because they could definitely, like, collaborate and create those ripple effects together too.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny, so I kinda got a little theory. I guess I'm going away from the interview, but I wanna give you just a minute, like, kinda, like, see how you think about the way I kinda think about it is, when physical media kinda stopped being a way that, like, there was a bunch of money in music,
Yeah,
all the people who were, like, like, bringing the, like, designers and the people, like, doing, like, video, the
yeah,
people who, like, making the music, like, recording music, mixing music, um, the people who were putting it together was the labels, and then people left when there's no money anymore. Then all the artists are still there, and so I feel like with the internet, like, now it's like, "Oh, we can bring everyone together,"
yeah,
and we have the same thing, 'cause I think that's the kind of maybe not the way like, that could be the big roadblock for a lot of people, is that, like, you're unaware of, like what you're saying, like, working couchsurfing and warm packets, but you're unaware of all the, like, ways where people are coming together,
yeah.
and, like and I really think that's why I wonder what's your goal for, like, clear vision? Like, what's your maybe, like, your, like, dream? Like, have this happen, you'd be like, "Oh my god, like, this is, like, the best outcome."
Yeah. Me and my partner currently, she's involved in Clear Vision Collective with me. We really like co-manage it together, and both of our like passions and dreams really aligned with like she went to college for environmental policy and analysis and is really interested in like sustainability and degrowth, and that really like ties with like those like DIY communities and scenes that are bigger than just like the music communities. But then figuring out that, like, the music communities, all of these art communities have, like, ways to express themselves and, like, follow their passions and meeting their, like, survival needs with, like, having a place to stay or, like, having enough money to, like, eat and, like, buy the things you need. But, really, like, being able to connect those types of communities is one of our long-term goals, and having some sort of, like, DIY database that's, like, open source that people can go to online where you just like type in like a state or a city that you're trying to visit, and it'll have like this directory to all these local like DIY venues, places to perform, or like World Packer hostels that you could stay at and apply to, or like woofing farms that'll let you come and stay at their place to volunteer. Um, just so it's like putting the power back into the hands of the creative instead of like having this like need of like a label or some big corporate entity that has all these resources pulled together. Like all these smaller underground people have those resources and are willing to do trades and without like really the need of money as like form of compensation. They're down to just like trade it and really like value the journey together.
Yes. Dude, that is so cool. I'm, like, writing it down, like, catalog of DIY activities. Okay, sweet, so I guess the next step, like doing like the software part or like building the database?
Yeah,
What do you do next?
yeah, the idea itself seems pretty, not daunting, but definitely, it's gonna take some time and, a lot of collaboration to make it happen to where on, a smaller short-term scale, we're able to document the DIY culture across California because that's where we're currently living in is, Los Angeles and up in the Central Coast. And we've been able to go on a little tour from LA to Seattle last summer with some bands from Long Beach and documented the culture along the road. So we got to explore parts of Washington and Oregon, but definitely we want to start venturing to other states at first and being able to spread that mission statement of let's all start documenting this together because as a journalist myself, I'm already passionate and inspired to go explore and see these new cultures. But I know there's someone that lives there that's already a photographer in that scene or a musician that has more knowledge and experience there than I do. And they might be down to because we publish a magazine out here in Los Angeles to help create those little ripple effects so more people can hear about these underground venues or woofing places or we'll interview any style of creative really, but having someone who could be a clear vision correspondent or their own freelance journalist in each of these major cities in all the states would help that database all that information gather quicker than just me and my partner traveling state to state ourselves. So that's where I think social media could come in handy as a tool rather than some sort of thing that you need to hustle and create content for all the time.
Yep. Okay. I'm gonna talk out loud so there's not dead air for the listeners here. But you said use social media as a tool for, in my words, I would say assembling the community of kind of DIY journalists. I think of it like the way if you like a decentralized network with all these little nodes and they can all get that like go
Yeah.
to one spot to go down the rabbit hole and little
Yeah.
want to find out about. Hey, fascinating.
Yeah, because it's there's not really a major form of music journalism anymore with all these older magazines like Spin and Rolling Stones. They're still active, but the kind of the boundary to enter is super far nowadays for younger journalists. Even with Vice News and stuff like that, it's with social media the way TikTok works, anyone can really become a backpack journalist to create their own channel and kind of like Channel 5 did and be able to go document things on their own and eventually have the funds to be able to do that by posting on YouTube and stuff like that. So that takes a minute for people to generate that kind of audience for sure.
Yeah.
But if there was more a centralized grassroots platform, that's what Clear Vision Collective is aiming to be for up and coming journalists and writers and photographers.
Uh, so would you guys be helping people bridge the gap from doing it themselves, and no go figuring enough that kind of it's not sustainable yet
Yeah.
to the point where they might work with you and do a bunch of stuff together and then maybe have a Substack or some way that the community directly can kind of finance them the journalism?
Yeah,
You
yeah, that's one of the goals for sure I had because Clear Vision started when I was a senior in college and I was a journalism major out there. So, and then the one of the other two of the other co-collaborators who helped start up Clear Vision Collective with me were fellow journalism majors. So all of us were really excited about that idea to be a platform to help other visionaries like videographers and photographers find their own clients through our network. And so none of us feel like any of us own CVC. There's no ownership. It's just a
yeah,
platform, a free form platform that's a hub to connect with other creatives that may have a job offer for you.
yeah,
Because so far we've been able to get a lot of press passes for festivals and local events, and we're able to like offer that to people in other cities and states even. So, and then I've even been able to give like some of our members of CVC where like they needed an internship to graduate as a journalism major, so I was their internship provider, and by being like helping out with our blog and just like outreach and stuff like that. But I
Wow.
think it would be a lot more fun now if with the experience I have post graduating, because I could easily like give little workshops and teach people how to be like multimedia music journalists and just like go out to document their local scenes and really like witness firsthand how much of an impact that has on your local culture by being the person to like document it and share the stories of all those like up and coming artists in your area.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm thinking maybe a music journalist, not like that would be a journalist. Just I like talking to people that want to like connect and bring them together.
Yeah.
Let me maybe this question and see where it takes us. What do you see as being the way to reach most people that are either already doing it who are being journalists or like being a journalist in school or maybe they're gonna be inspired. So what do you think is the way to reach them with the message?
Fully. Yeah, honestly, that's been one of the like main questions I've had, and I feel like it's one of the avenues or routes I could go, or Clear Vision Collective could go, is like trying to focus more on social media platforms that have like that reach, like TikTok or Instagram. But then at the same time, a lot of the journalists might be even older than me, or like might be tapped out of the social media scene. So for them to see that on those platforms is pretty like that's not going to happen really. So it would have to be something else like that they would be following, like Nardwar or like one of these like bigger underground media outlets that most music lovers seem to watch at some point. But because that's how for me, being able to see like the underground SoundCloud rap scene explode over the years, they like really focus on like music media to help them blow up and get their music heard.
Almost. Underground sound battle is something I'm admittedly uneducated on. Um, okay, so would you think about like maybe like partner with something like a Miro or maybe like try to collab with them if they've got like what I've found is that like if I could eventually get the podcast that people are like, I'm having like Dave Grohl on and then Ozzy Osbourne and like Sting, and then the next day I can have like a totally unknown artist with like 300 followers just starting out. I can have them on like once a week or maybe once a month. I can have them on a couple times. They can actually expose to people, and connect with people, and they can like boom, and before you know it, within a year, they're like touring, selling their ideas. So for me, it's the concept of like you're an interesting concept is leveraging staying like platform that support like creators or organizations that are kind of down with the idea of like Clear Vision Collective, like being seen as something to be where like every journalism major is like, oh yeah, I could do this thing, I could do Clear Vision Collective, I could do that, like one of the things that like, everyone kind of like knows like something that they're doing. So I guess what do you think like the role of like maybe not co-op, but like getting like big established people to help like spread the message with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea too because that's kind of what happened with All Gas No Breaks and
Oh,
what happened to that name and why he had to change to Channel 5 News was he started collaborating with a media house that had like the resources to fund the All Gas No Breaks like YouTube channel when it first started. So they had like money set aside for advertising and donated the van for them to like drive across the US in. And but at that point there was like some limitations or kind of like a guideline for the types of coverage he could do under their contract. So once it started getting a little bit more political during like the 20 like I think it was right during the pandemic really. Um they basically like took away the funding and like took his name, All Gas No Breaks, and like it became like this huge court case. And then he ended up starting Channel 5 News. This is his own freelance project that he owned the rights to. Because once they took away the rights to the All Gas No Breaks channel, it took away his royalties and all like the streaming uh, credibility that he had at the time. So it was interesting to see that kind of like freelance journalist use that avenue to like collaborate with a media house and like what came of that. So they're very like passionate about like that idea of like being an independent artist now that they have their own channel and everything. But it did help them out initially because that's how people know of them is through the virality or like how viral all those all gas no breaks videos used to go. But that kind of might have been tied in with like whatever advertising like connections that the media house had to be able to like promote those videos at first.
So then do you see it being potentially maybe you could have like some like legal students, like people who are like um lawyers who are down with kind of the cause and everything that are like it with Music Collective, journalists, if they do want to like the company, they can like look over the paperwork and make sure, hey, like you're not gonna get all the after breaks. You
Yeah,
know, to keep your thing and you're not gonna spend what you can cover. Because that's the thing eventually I will be working with like guitar company and all sorts of different like music related things. But when you approach that, you're like, you wanna make sure you're finding, not in formal way, right? You wanna make sure that you're getting me, like,
yeah,
mutually better picture than either of us can leave and nothing, like, lingering, "Yep, for me, I get your podcast." Like,
yeah.
so I guess, yeah, what do you think about, maybe, like, reaching out to people and, like, getting them involved on, like
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think like really we're like pretty open arms for the most part when it comes to people that can join CBC or be a part of it, as long as we kind of have like a questionnaire that we send people for us to be able to see if their values align with the mission of CBC. So ask questions about their like skill sets and really what their values are when it comes to their passions and like kind of what social issues they're interested in. And also like their experience with the local DIY scene that they're currently a part of, if they're a part of one. So through those questionnaires, it gives us like a lot of insight into the people that email us or that reach out to us. Because part of the questionnaire too is a question about like how they would want to collaborate or if they're just reaching out for another reason. Because sometimes people just want like an article written about them or want to get booked for a show, but they're not necessarily interested in like collaborating.
yeah, okay, so that's interesting. That brings you to the idea of, like, no, I guess if you had to think about it, I imagine a balance between doing the actual, like, collective stuff, like documenting, but then, like, maybe, like, some people would spend more time, like, doing, like TikTok or Instagram or, like, outreach to
Yeah.
try and get to journalism people. So, like, how do you navigate that balance? And essentially part of that, like, finding journalism podcasts to go on or finding, programs at local universities can go pop in journalism school maybe
Yeah.
or something.
That
I
is
just yeah, how do you balance getting, like, journalists and reaching out?
yeah.
How do you manage balance outreach with, actually documenting yourself?
Yeah. No, that's super real because when I went to college, I didn't know that there was like a distinction between like reporters or like news like side of journalism and then like the PR or like marketing side of journalism. And they're kind of like both similar, but definitely different routes. And like being a content creator or creative person with like the current media landscape now, you kind of have to do both as a freelance journalist because you need to know how to like promote yourself using social media. So that's kind of like the PR side of things. And then if you're like interested in being an actual freelance photographer or like videographer where you're going out and covering things, that's its own thing. So I've definitely been like finding a balance between those two because I didn't really take too many like PR classes in college and I never really had too much experience using social media growing up. So like when TikTok came out during the pandemic, I was like already I just graduated college. So it was like a whole new realm for me, but then like shows couldn't happen. So it was like interesting being on camera, like seeing videos all the time versus like Instagram was all photos.
Yeah, that's an interesting yeah. Um, yeah, so balance between doing the journalism and doing promotion. And so I think could I be that like if you have to reach out and see maybe like you're seeing if there's one person who like really likes doing the journalism part and like film mad and like you're doing it, and then another person who's also there like, doing the like editing, yeah. So you get them to kind of like I guess almost like have like a real like squad. Yeah, I would call it but like a big squad city with like oh I yeah, and it's kind of like this is the thing that I'm really good at and I like doing and come together. So I guess how would you approach like I don't know like your city by city? Like, how would you approach like building that out?
True, true. That is a good aspect to consider because like I've only been in LA for about 2 years now, and my partner lives up in the Central Coast, so we're not able to be together too often to like co-collaborate or co-host the video journalism assignments or kind of just like the recaps.
Yeah.
But so I'll do it myself a lot of the times when I'm out here in LA and I'm behind the camera, so I can't really shoot myself and like create this online persona or like
Yeah.
show myself interviewing everyone. So I have to ask the questions behind the lens, and it's cool in its own sense. Like I like doing that, but in the past we haven't been able to like work as a team and have like at least two of us, so one can shoot it on the camera and the other one's like on camera talking to people. And those ones are really fun for like festivals and stuff. And I'd already had the idea like in the past right before the pandemic was like when I realized you can have like a basically like a broadcast studio on your phone or your iPad now, similar to like platforms like OBS or like maybe even this one that you're using, Riverside.
Yeah.
Like if people can access that on their phone and say there's like a post, like one of us is like at our house, like hosting the entire session or stream.
Yeah.
You could have video reporters like at a festival or at a concert and you could like use it like a real newscast and be like, okay, we're gonna have this reporter on air live in action, and you could like cut it to them real quick, and then
You are smart.
you do that to where you have like two or three journalists on the scene at a festival, and it would be so fun to be able to like host that kind of coverage.
Oh, right.
That's like one of my little dreams for sure. That'd be super fun. 'Cause I know they do that at like Rolling Loud. It's like a big rap festival, and I'm not too sure if many rock festivals do that anymore.
Yeah, what they're that's the problem is so what I'm doing here, the real obvious inspiration for me and let me see. Yeah. Okay. That it. Oh wait, 1 second. There we go. It's all gone. There we go. Okay. So a real obvious inspiration for me is I saw a comedy podcast where it was like and the comedians were doing like cool art and stuff and they're like really cool. Like just no one knew about it. It just like happened to find on one night. But then they were like, "We're gonna do podcasts," then people would see them and then see
Yeah.
other podcasts and then go, "Oh, I like them." Actually, and then get clip or 2 and they go, "I really think they're funny. Oh my god, let me with them." And then I'm a pet and they send it to their friend. And
Totally.
now it's like within a year, they go from being unknown to like a staple.
Yeah.
So all the comedians are filming all this. putting clips out, and they're currently doing podcasts and, like, media stuff. That kind of like, the rock world is maybe 12 years behind comedy. Same with the label up around 2000, weekly network stuff, that continuous code. Labels stopped getting people down on magazines and stuff. It's like, look at what they're doing. We just all hop on microphones and
Yeah,
talk with each other, you know what I mean?
fact.
And we film our set, like, we're tired, and you get the journalist to come, you're like, "Hey, come go check interview people, come do all this stuff." So, like, I think it's gonna work, and it already starting to work 'cause I was doing it, like, on YouTube, and, like, when I do them on YouTube, like, oh my god, what do you now I'm starting to get, like, yay! When I do them on Instagram, like, 2,000 people, like,
Yeah,
and then I did the math on it, I was like, I think kind of what I did numbers, like, if I had decent, like, watch through, 3,000 views,
totally.
I'm like, "Oh, like, $700 an episode." You're like, "Huh." And then at a certain point, it's like, "Oh, I can give a gift $100." Like, you know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah,
now there's that stuff where it's like, you're like, "Hey, wanna come to this show? And you get some money for the podcast." Like, oh my god, like, now you can actually, like, build a, like, ecosystem of goodwill with all the different artists and people. You can just start to get, like, I don't know, I momentum,
yeah,
you
no, for
know?
sure.
So I love what you're doing. Um, yeah. I guess, what do you think about the idea of, like, I don't know, getting someone on board, like a podcast? I figure, like a weekly recap or
Yeah,
something and, like, getting a guest on or I
facts.
don't know, I guess, how would you approach, oh, so the whole point you said I don't think the rock stars do the media stuff. They're not caught up on it.
Yeah,
They will be.
yeah,
That's for
for
sure. They're gonna learn. I'll
yeah.
tell them, I'll help them out.
Yeah, because it's like,
Um,
I know it's not really, like, genre based, because like, there are a lot of music podcasts or, outlets that are down to, like, mix genres for shows and festivals, and, like, I know there's this, outlet, like, Jam in the Van, that kinda is like a comedy and music podcast, and, like, they do live in studio sets. They recently got, like, an old actor from the '90s, Pauly Shore, to, like, host his own show on that now. So, it's kinda interesting to see the progression of that one. And then there's, like, the NPR, like, Tiny Desk Concerts, like, a nice, like, in studio, but those ones are, like, definitely different sides of, like, the journalism, like, constraints of, like, professionalism and, like, the mainstream idea of professionalism. It's like Jam and the Band's more, like, free form, they can, like, cuss and, like, be pretty zany like Eric Andre show, but, NPR is just, like, kinda well respected and, like, really well put together for, like, the quality and everything, but there's not much, like, free form conversations or, like, interviews on NPR like you'd see on Jam and the Band or something like that. So, it was fun, like, at one point, since there wasn't anything to go do during the pandemic, we CBC was probably, like, a year old at this point, so we started our own little YouTube series for, like, a year, basically, and got, like, 10 episodes done, but each episode was, like, an hour long at one point, and it would have, like, a mixture of interviews and, like, us going out and covering stuff. As shows, like, opened up, we'd go, like, document little music fests in the Central Coast or just, like, go to the beach and document, like, people jamming, and then we'd make, like, little skits and stuff, but and then for a while, I was, like, using that same idea to just, like, do interviews on Instagram or TikTok Live, and it was super fun being able to, like, have those conversations with creatives and, like, build the momentum that way, but our group or, like, team of people that I was working with at the time, like, um, we all kinda went our own ways for a bit once I moved to LA, so we didn't really have that team to keep the momentum going after the first season of the show. Because it became easy to get burnt out trying to, like, do them, like, even, like, bi-weekly. 'Cause at first we were trying to drop them weekly, and then I was like, "No, this is" because I was the only one doing all the editing and, like, cutting it up for social media and everything, and we were doing it for, like, probably, like, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was like, "No, we have to do it, like, bi-weekly or, like, monthly," 'cause it kinda it's just, like it's a lot to get a team on the same page if you're not all like at a space where you want to really focus in on that, or if you have the resources yourself to be able to focus on that. It takes a lot of time and energy.
So then that leads me to my next question. How do you like incentivize to join in on the team? Like, how do you find like actually want to be there? 'Cause even with a band,
Yeah,
it there's people who are like they're like, yeah, I'll be in the band, and then like every time rehearsal, they're like, oh, they're like, all them times I literally every summer with my band Black Licorice, I would just drive to his house, half an hour after rehearsal, I'd drive to his house, wake him out of bed,
yeah,
feed him breakfast, and cook him breakfast. Yeah. So, but then I found other people who are like on top of the time. They're like rehearsal. I'm a pro. You get me in there, I got the film. Let's get it going. I love you. So some people are in it, like love the game. Like, how do you make sure those people like want to join? How are you approaching getting people on the team?
totally. Yeah, I think for a minute we had to kind of. I've always been open arms about letting people join Clear Vision Collective, and like a lot of my like best friends had been a part of it at some point. But after graduating, like post pandemic, as you get older, you have to like have priorities and like really focus on like what you're passionate about or like what you need to make your life the best for you. So just based on like different priorities and just like resources, we ended up it's not like fully separated, but like there's people who used to be part of Clear Vision Collective that don't really contribute as much anymore because they're more focused on like work or them they just don't have access to like have the internet or something like that. But yeah, no, trying to find new people though has been interesting because I want to trust everyone, but there's been times where you provide like opportunities for people and it's um kind of just like taken advantage of over time. You start to notice that like that time and energy is like not kind of taken for granted, especially if the people that you're collaborating with don't have the same values as you initially, or they might change over time. But I think that's why we made the questionnaire initially too, as one of the reasons, because it really helps us choose the types of people that we want to be a part of Clear Vision Collective. It's like one of the main ideas, like with it being called Clear Vision Collective, is this idea of like being a visionary artist. So if you're like a freelancer or someone that's already like documenting your local culture, or like you're a painter and you just want to find like an avenue or a community to help like meet other artists who would like your painting, like those are visionaries in our mind. Like anyone who wants to create their own reality with their thoughts and their passions is like a visionary artist, regardless of like whatever medium you choose to pursue. So finding visionary artists can be a little hard. So I've noticed that it's more so they kind of find us quicker than if we try to find them. And that's just like been over time because we've been a thing for like almost 5 years now. And since we've like published a magazine for about 2 years, each of those magazines would cover a lot of different artists and venues. So it created like a lot of momentum over like word of mouth and people sharing it and everything. So we get like pretty frequent emails from like artists wanting coverage. Either like they have like a new single or they're about to tour California, so they might want some help booking. But it's been cool to see like artists from other countries, like in Europe or places I've never even considered. Somehow discovered CVC on like another online forum or like through word of mouth, and it's just like that kind of stuff's like super beautiful to me. Seeing that like organic reach and how that kind of like comes back to us because I would never be able to find those types of visionary artists in like Italy or Germany or something, but they'll send us an email if they were gravitated towards that outlet.
Okay, so It sounds like you're supposed to let them find us rather than like go out and start like proper thing of
Yeah, because I think the other aspect of that too is when I do go out and meet people in person when I'm documenting the local culture in LA. Um, like last night, I just covered a band. They're touring from Spain. And they're called Mohammed Saaz, and they came here like 2 years ago for their first ever California tour with this band called Hoover Three, and they're an LA-based like psychedelic rock band. And the one of the like founders of that band used to work at like a pretty big underground record store called Permanent Records in LA. So he was like well connected with like the local music lovers and like local psychedelic rock and like heavy heavy rock scene, I would say. Uh, and so where he was able to like really carve a lane for himself.
I just that camera
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was like one of the first bands he signed to his own little indie label that he created. So he brought them to the West Coast, and I got to like see them at like a local show, and then they invited me to like they were playing the next night at another venue. So I got to know them on a little bit of a deeper level outside of like just the first show, and then got to interview them. To where like we stayed friends over the years because we included them in the magazine, and their tour manager just like calls me now when any band on his labels like touring through the states and ask if I want to come take photos. So making those kind of connections and like actually meeting people in person to me is like way more important and like real than anything social media is ever going to show you. Even if you spend like hundreds of dollars on advertisement, it might lead to an opportunity, but like you can't know if that's going to be like a fake opportunity. Like who knows the intention behind that person that's like gonna DM you really until you meet them. And that's always like a risk itself. So like being DIY by like going out and like meeting people yourself in reality is definitely worth more to me than, like trying to promote ourselves on social media. So I've gotten burnt out trying to do that. It's like I know so many other creatives are feeling that same way too. Like there's like a sense of FOMO almost for like fear of missing out that I'm not posting enough. When it's like now you can go actually create memories and like moments and beyond the screen.
now. What if you do both?
That's where, yeah, that's where I think too we're living in a like a
Have
digital
one friend with a
renaissance.
camera. All you need is one friend with a camera and everything else the exact way you were before, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's so real. Like the social media has a lot of power as a tool to connect people for sure, but I think the algorithms definitely like play a role into like who gets to see your stuff, and then I don't know. It's interesting though because there are so many like Discord communities and like group chats and stuff on Instagram where it really does like connect people and you can actually like meet people in reality and like build on those connections. That's how like that group Brockhampton started out. They were all just like solo artists and like rappers or producers or like visual artists, and they like met each other online initially, and then got the idea. Kevin Abstract like offered them all to like move into a house together, and then Vice picked up on the story and then documented it, them, like, recording their first album together, um, and that was, like, their first time really meeting each other in person, and they all just, like, moved in together. Like, that idea really inspired, like, the origins of CBC a bit too, like, wanting to create that kinda, like, creative householder environment
Yeah.
with other, like, driven, inspired creatives.
Here. Yeah, okay. So get plugged in. Yeah. So like tour manager, like that I don't know. I guess for me, the reason I like this topic is I'm in San Diego right
Yeah,
now, and you're in Long Beach,
LA area,
LA. But we can talk
yeah.
and we can and like I could say for certain, but I'm sure a lot of my, like, followers are, like, people from San Diego, a lot of them have never heard about Clear Vision
Yeah.
Collective, and a lot of them might be, like, photographers and, like, journalists, and a lot of let me think about it off the top of my head. I can get back to that. I can, like, think about, like, who do I know who's, like, doing journalism, like, trying to get started,
Yeah.
like, so this I don't think it's poor, I think it's fair. But because I love all, like, the broadcast and stuff, like, that's the ultimate goal is, like, have a band house, you
Yeah.
know? Band all this together, make all my social media shows and do art stuff that, like, can all live in a house. But once you're there, it's like, oh, put a camera, the rehearsal wheel, put a board, live streaming, edit it back, do little clips, like,
Yeah.
at that point, you can, like, grow, and then you can go over to the band house. Like, even if it's about musicians, collab and do a song. I'm all about collab.
Yeah.
I'm all about collab. That's where, like, I did a bunch of episodes by myself pretty much of the podcast, and, like, they don't even count, like, I really do. But the instant I was like, let me get my friend Kobe on, who I just saw him, like, 2 TikToks of him playing bass. I talked to Kobe,
Yeah.
but he looks like he's, like, doing social media stuff. I'm doing social media thing, like, I'm a great guy. And then went great. Thousands of views instead of 2.
Yeah.
And so I was like and then people were reaching out and people were like wanting to talk about music and people were like, "Hey, I wanna come on," and like all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wait a minute, there might be" so all that is to say, I guess, yeah, I think balance social media and but here's what the root of it has to be something real. Like, you need to start with you said live IRL. Like, when I wrote down, live IRL and make cool memories, and then you can have the influence of it, right?
True.
Like, play amazing shows, like, have the fun and, like, write really good and then have someone look
Yeah.
that's when it's powerful instead of, like, get burnt out if you try and start with, like, I need content for content's sake.
Truth. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what made it fun or like slow, easier when we were making the YouTube series during the pandemic was that we were all just like going out and like documenting our like days out basically because we drive from the Central Coast to LA to like interview some like underground rappers or like go to these underground rap shows. And then over time, we ended up meeting people to let us perform because we made underground rap too. And then we started like people knew us through meeting us at first in person, but then they would see all the content that we made from that show and then like see like what we were editing and like how we documented everything. And then they like started seeing the YouTube series and then it kind of like trickled a little bit through that. It was like people would see us at shows and know us as like Spacey or like our artist names before even like meeting us sometimes. So it's been fun to see like over the years keeping up with that same like word on the street mentality of like just bringing my camera with me anytime I go to a show and then like documenting the whole most of it, like at least a couple of songs from each band or like some of the crowd and like what the venue looks like and everything. And then yeah, just document that. Like when we went on tour last year, when we brought the bands from Long Beach with us, we made a recap of every day or of the tour. So it's kind of like a tour vlog. Uh, and that's up on our YouTube channel. But doing stuff like that was pretty fun because you can watch it again and like a year later and like trip out on how much has changed or like what you've learned since that moment, or who you connected with.
Yeah, it's like almost like a time capsule.
Totally, yeah, yeah. It's my partner wants to start up a project about that too, like creating like not just a digital time capsule, but some sort of like time capsule for like the current like space that we're all in collectively, and like being able to all contribute like different forms of art to put in this time capsule. It would be pretty fun.
It, uh, Let me see. I had so I wrote down talking about that, and I feel that I've been trying to find a way to say it, but I think an analogy would be like almost like DIY fallout, like the radiation from the show, like the photos and videos. It's so happy, it's great, but then once you got it's less strong, but the videos spread farther and they kind of reinforce that people go, that was really I do want to go again. Like
Yeah.
so I don't know. You can take that. I feel like when you can use it.
Yeah.
Copyright.
No, yeah, there's another platform where creative outlet out here in LA that's more for like the underground rave culture called Subculture Fest. And they throw a lot of like events. I think they started even throwing stuff in New York lately, but they're mainly based in LA. Yeah. But they do the similar thing to where they'll like definitely have journalists or people there documenting their fests, and then they're able to like use that footage to like really highlight that community that was there. And since it's a rave, they're like mainly showing footage of like the fans dancing, and like then when the fans see themselves like in the social media clip, they'll post it on their story, and it just like creates this like little community. Yeah.
I realized I'm gonna exhale really loudly. But right into the mic. Okay, the tour vlog thing, I really like that. We're getting close to the end, sort of wrap it up. But I'm sort of thinking like any main thing that kind of want to like really ask you. I just do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, like I think you already started talking about it a bit, but how long have you been interviewing artists for, and like what's your aspirations with that interviewing process?
Yeah. So I've been interviewing artists probably like I don't know, like maybe like a month, maybe 3 weeks. So not for long, but like enough to where they start to have fun. And I'm not like worked up about like what am I gonna say? I'm like, I what this I'm so curious. I'm like, like
Yeah.
great ideas, what are they thinking about? What excites them? Like what excites me about what excites them? Like how do they all play off each other? And so my goal I would say is like really build a place where I can facilitate collaboration, kind of similar to what you're doing. We're doing like journalism kind of and where you do CVC, like really focused creative stuff and underground, for making music and circle events. And here we go. Everyone is cool. Everyone's got their own dream or aspiration. We value collaboration over competition, bring our visions to fruition.
Yeah.
Same exact thing, but for rock gen, like just kind of like a little bit like more like specified for like how I just make like addition to only that you like the people you like connecting is with, like journalists. Like journalists come to a place you where people want you, and you're super excited and all these cultures document like journalists taking the flag to journalists like come over here. Maybe not the common land, like a good land, a land that you can help with, like improve, like just
So
go over here, let's go here. Um it's your waving the flag the next to me. So that's what I currently do. And then the first like big goal is like I like being able to make six figure doing it. And it's like, boom, I can do it forever. You know what I mean? And I can get bigger and bigger. And then I have money that can invest in like throwing good shows and helping people and like running ads for people or like everything. Actually, I've got a budget now. If it's like make a set or make a thing and then get a manager involved. Now it's like, we're all the forward, you're making more money. I said, hey, big time, 18 with X all these rock stars, come on the podcast. I have 3 episodes of big rock stars. I have 2 episodes who are known. And I can, have them the week for 3 months, help them get connected to everyone, help all of the up-and-coming producers get connected to the big artists and to the small artists, build this whole network of rock and roll. you don't need to sign anything or wait for work to. And a small individual, just come to, you come to the rock on Farrell, and you're able to find all of the people, and then it's like, oh, like you want to collaborate. So I just make it for the community. So for me is like make like if I just want to make it, I would do like other things. I want to do this. I want it to make money. Then it's sustainable. I can and it can just get invested and become bigger, and then I can help work. Like first, I want to like my life fully solved. Now I can spend all my energy helping the whole community, like bring everyone out.
Yeah.
Boom, rocking off the ground.
Yeah, that's real.
So
Yeah,
passion.
that's amazing. There is a outlet that I feel like might be worthy to connect with out here in LA called the LA Rock Collective. They do like your missions seem pretty aligned because they're tapped in with it's like one of the owners of the hotel, the rock and roll hotel chain, like the like how there's like the one in Vegas and the one in Hollywood. Um, I forget if that's the actual name, the rock and roll. I forget.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
We'll Google it. We'll extract it out. Uh,
Yeah, they throw like shows sometimes, like showcases for art like rock bands, but then they do like a lot of like sponsorships with other like guitar companies and um like studios, like rehearsal spaces and stuff like that. But when I went to one of their shows to document it, they they have like a chain across the United States, so they want to start like adding people to their roster of like bands and then be able to like send them on tours to each of the hotel locations across the United States so then they could like have different chapters of the rock collected in all these different cities.
mm,
But they might need someone to like help with their like outreach or like being able to like interview bands because it seems like they already have the connections with like all those like labels and potentially like agents to bigger rock stars because they're pretty big. Like chain, like each most of the locations have like rock and roll memorabilia hanging up on the walls. So the one in LA has like some of the Jim Morrison like outfits, and the one in I don't know if it's the one in Vegas, but one of them has like they have like guitars there and stuff too. I think the one in Vegas has like Kurt Cobain's like his like green sweater or like the one of his blue guitars.
hopefully not the one he's wearing at the time.
Yeah, yeah, no, they'd be a good collective to hit up though for sure.
That would be that'd be epic. I guess yeah. I don't know if you could introduce me or to one.
Oh no, yeah, I could definitely send you their Instagram and you could let them know like we sent you.
I'll be like, yeah, Spacey. I'm from the space. As you know. Oh man, well, this is a blast. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, another wrapping up. Where should people reach you? Tell them.
Yeah, yeah. Feel free to hit us up on clearvisioncollective.com as like a place for you to email us or message us. And then other than that, I think Instagram's our most active social media platform. And then if you're also like a producer or a musician, we do have like a Discord channel, or you can just reach out to us on SoundCloud.
It's cooler. Soundcloud. YouTube. Instagram. And then TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, people can find us on TikTok too. Yeah, usually too, if you hit us up, we'll send you that questionnaire and then we'll be able to help out in any way, really.
Of course. Shit. Two eyes we put there. Two eyes. I'm not good at letter. I think they call that English. No, I think that was the alphabet. I don't know. I don't know. It's like, who cares? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Go check out at Clear Vision Cut. Check me out on Discord. Go check me out on Soundcloud, on YouTube, Instagram, on TikTok, and go check out Spacey on Instagram. It's all tagged here. And thanks for watching. I want to see you guys next time.
Appreciate y'all.